Hello, my name is Samoya Lamb. Welcome to Lighting the Spark, How Small Acts Ignite Big Change. Today, we'll explore two powerful motivation theories, expectancy value and goal orientation, and how they can transform student engagement. Our goal is to understand why motivation matters, review two key theories, and see how they apply in real classrooms. I'll share examples of my own teaching experience and leave you with practical strategies. Motivation is the internal drive that initiates, guides, and sustains goal-oriented behavior. In education, it determines whether students engage with learning or withdraw. There are two types of motivation. Intrinsic motivation comes from within. Students engage because they find the task interesting, enjoyable, or personally meaningful. For example, a student who loves science might explore experiments simply out of curiosity. Extrinsic motivation is driven by external factors like grades, rewards, praise, or even avoiding punishment. For instance, a student might complete homework to earn extra credit or even to avoid detention. Both types matter, but research shows intrinsic motivation often leads to deeper learning and persistence. When students are motivated, they put in effort, overcome challenges, and achieve higher levels of success. Without motivation, even the best instruction can fall flat. As shown in the diagram, expectancy value theory explains that motivation depends on two factors. Expectancy, the belief that you can succeed at a task, and value, the importance or usefulness of the task. If students believe they can succeed and see the task as valuable, they are more motivated. If either is low, motivation drops. For example, a student who feels confident in math and sees it as useful for their future career will work hard. But another student who doubts their ability and doesn't see the relevance will likely disengage. I'm sure we've all experienced that one student that thinks like this: why do I have to do this? I want to be a truck driver. This isn't going to help me drive trucks. This is useless. Expectancy value theory breaks down into 4 parts. Attainment value. This is about identity. Doing well shows I'm smart. Intrinsic value. This is enjoyment. For example, I like solving problems. Utility value. This is usefulness for future goals, like math helps me become an engineer. And lastly, cost. These are the perceived negatives. Students might think this will take too much time or make me look bad. Each of these influences whether a student feels motivated to engage. In the first classroom application, we'll discuss John's case. John was the classic class clown. He disrupted lessons, avoided work, and didn't care about grades. Think about a student you know that fits this description. At first glance, it seemed like he just didn't want to learn. But the real issue was deeper. John didn't believe he could succeed, which let me know that he had a low expectancy. And he also didn't see any reason why biology mattered to his life. This let me know that he had low value. According to expectancy value theory, when either expectancy or value is low, motivation drops. What I did to apply the expectancy value theory in John's case was focus on 3 things. The first was to build expectancy or confidence. I did this by giving John leadership roles like passing out papers and helping his classmates. I also worked with him in small groups to ensure he experienced success. The second thing was to increase value or relevance. I did this by connecting biology to his dream of becoming a real estate developer. I explained how skills like observation and analysis learned in biology could help him in business. The third and final thing I focused on was to reduce cost or fear of failure. This created a safe environment where mistakes were a part of learning. I also praised his efforts publicly and privately to show that trying was valued. The results of applying this theory led to John participating more and disrupting less. He completed assignments and even had open conversations about his goals, and he began to see school as a stepping stone to his future, not just a place to hang out. While his progress was interrupted by an injury, the strategy showed promise. He was motivated and improving. Goal orientation theory explains that motivation depends on the type of goal a student pursues. This chart shows the difference between mastery and performance goals. In mastery goals, students focus on learning and improving. For example, a student who says, I want to understand this concept so I can apply it later. These goals promote persistence and deeper learning. Performance goals, students focus on demonstrating ability or avoiding failure. For example, a student who says, I just want to get an A so people think I'm smart, or I don't want to look stupid. These goals can lead to anxiety and avoidance behavior. Each type has approach and avoidance subtypes. Approach, the students are moving towards success, and avoidance, the students are avoiding failure. Understanding these help us design strategies that encourage mastery rather than fear-driven performance. I decided to apply this theory with Mary. Mary wasn't disruptive, but she never participated. She sat quietly, avoided eye contact, and did not engage, even though she understood the material. When I asked why, she said, I know the answer sometimes, but I'm not about to look stupid and get it wrong. This revealed a performance avoidance goal. Mary's main motivation was to avoid embarrassment, not to learn. She feared failure more than she valued success. I used goal orientation theory and the target framework to shift her goals from performance avoidance to mastery goals. In the target framework, the T stands for task. In the task, I designed meaningful, mastery-oriented assignments. For example, instead of answering textbook questions, students wrote a letter to the mayor proposing solutions for biodiversity issues. This made learning relevant and less intimidating. For authority, I gave Mary choices through a choice board. For example, she could pick how to show mastery, whether through writing, creating a graphic, or presenting. For recognition, I praised her efforts and progress privately. For example, I would say, I really like your idea to plant trees for air quality improvement. For grouping, I placed Mary in a supportive, heterogeneous group. As a result of this, she began talking with peers and even was able to explain certain concepts to them. For evaluation, I focused on growth, not just grades. For example, I would say, your post-test improved by 7 points. Great effort. And lastly, for time, I offered flexible deadlines to reduce pressure. As a result of applying this theory, Mary started participating in group discussions. She completed assignments and showed pride in her work. Her confidence grew, and she shifted from avoiding failure to embracing learning. She even demonstrated leadership by helping peers understand concepts. Both theories explain motivation, but they focus on different aspects. Expectancy value theory looks at why students chose to engage in a task. It emphasizes two main factors: expectancy, do I believe I can succeed? And value, does the task matter to me? Is it useful, interesting, or important? For example, a student who sees math is useful for a future career and feels confident will work harder. Goal orientation theory looks at what type of goal drives the student's behavior. It categorizes goals into mastery goals and performance goals. Mastery goals focus on learning and improvement. For example, I want to understand this concept so I can apply it later. Performance goals focus on demonstrating ability or avoiding failure. For example, I want to look smart, or I don't want to look stupid. The key difference is that expectancy value explains motivation through beliefs and perceived value, but goal orientation explains motivation through the type of goal pursued. This matters for teachers because this isn't just theory, it impacts how we teach. If a student lacks confidence or doesn't see value, we need to build expectancy and relevance. That might mean scaffolding tasks, showing real world connections, or celebrating small wins. If students fear failure, they're likely stuck in performance avoidance mode. Our job is to create a safe, supportive environment and shift them toward mastery goals, where learning and growth matter more than looking perfect. Now let's talk about practical strategies you can use right away to boost motivation in your classroom. First, build relationships early. Students are more likely to engage when they feel seen and valued. Take time to learn their interests, goals, and even challenges. A simple conversation can reveal what matters most to them, and that's the key to connecting learning to their lives. Second, connect tasks to student goals. When students see how today's lesson relates to their future, motivation skyrockets. For example, if a student wants to be a graphic designer, show how understanding patterns in biology can help with design thinking. Relevance makes learning meaningful. Third, provide autonomy and recognition. Give students choices in how they demonstrate mastery, maybe through a project, a presentation, or a creative piece. And don't forget recognition. Praise effort and progress, not just final results. This builds confidence and encourages persistence. Finally, create safe spaces for risk taking. Students need to know that mistakes are a part of learning. When they feel safe to try, they're more willing to participate and take on challenges. This means modeling vulnerability yourself. Share a time you struggled and how you overcame it. These small acts, relationship building, relevance, autonomy, recognition, and safety, can ignite big change in student motivation. Start with one strategy this week and watch the difference it makes. Finally, create safe spaces for risk taking. Students need to know that mistakes are a part of learning. When they feel safe to try, they're more willing to participate and take on challenges. This means modeling vulnerability yourself. Share a time you struggled and how you overcame it. These small acts, relationship building, relevance, autonomy, recognition, and safety, can ignite big change in student motivation. Start with one strategy this week and watch the difference it makes. Before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one important thought. Motivation isn't fixed, it's influenced by what we do every single day as educators. Think about the students you teach. Some walk into your classroom excited to learn, while others come in disengaged or even resistant. That doesn't mean they're unmotivated forever. It means we have an opportunity to spark something in them. The strategies we've discussed today, building relationships, connecting lessons to student goals, providing autonomy, and creating safe spaces, are not just theory. They're small, intentional acts that can completely change a student's experience. So here's my challenge to you. Choose one strategy and apply it this week. Maybe it's giving a student a choice in how they complete an assignment. Maybe it's taking 2 minutes to ask about their future goals. Or maybe it's simply praising effort instead of just results. These small steps matter. They tell students, you belong here. You can succeed. What you're learning matters. And when students believe that, motivation grows and learning follows. Remember, lighting the spark starts with you. You have the power to turn disengagement into curiosity, fear into confidence, and doubt into determination. Let's make that happen, one small act at a time.